Hey guys, it's Gary here on a Friday afternoon doing a quick legal tip on your ad valorem taxes. As most of you know, the tax bills have come out. That means it is now a lien against the property, which means we now have to collect the tax bill at closing. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about it. Tax bills come out, they are liens, they have to be collected. A couple of issues that's going to bring up for you, two on the seller side, one on the buyer side, and one on both sides. So the two on the seller side is that sometimes your seller will say they've already paid it, or the lender has sent the escrow in. They've confirmed that with the lender. But until that check is showing as posted, we're not going to be able to not collect taxes. We're going to have to collect them. So your client may wind up temporarily having paid it twice. Now, they will receive a refund when one of the checks are posted by the county. The refund will come back to the closing attorney or the lender, and they will get their refund back soon as that is posted. So that is not that they will lose the money, but it could be that they maybe temporarily have paid that tax bill twice. The second thing you have to look at is the seller net sheet. If a seller is not netting a lot of money, or they're negative, now they may have to bring money to closing. Or another problem you could see is if the seller has to net a certain amount of money from the sale of their house in order to buy the second house that they're buying or the new house they're buying, that amount may not be the case anymore, because if they were not expecting to have to pay the entire tax bill and the tax bills come out, and they're expecting it maybe to be paid by their escrow account, maybe instead of netting $10,000, they may only net $8,000 because they're having to pay that tax bill now, even though it was being escrowed. So make sure you're looking at those net sheets and making sure that that's not going to be a problem for your seller who's going to be a buyer. As far as the buyer goes, you have the issue of the 6% versus 4%. If taxes as they come out are at 6%, but your buyer is going to live in the house as their primary resident, we're still going to have to collect taxes from the buyer from the time that they close on the property to the end of the year at that 6%. And I've seen in the past where that 6% could be $1,000 instead of maybe $100 at 4%. And so that could really affect your your buyer's net sheet and what they need to bring to closing. And so you need to double check that and to make sure that's not going to be a lending issue where the lender hasn't proven source of funds, or that the loan's requiring them to net a certain amount of money from the sale of their house that they may no longer net because they're having to pay the higher portion of taxes at 6% versus 4%. Of course, after they close, they can apply for the 4% and they will get that money refunded from the county. It could take several months, which brings me to the last point. The buyers and the sellers both in the contract have basically stated that the prorations are final, and that if there is a change of tax rate due to occupancy, that money, any refund, would go back to the buyer. So if that is not how you want that to be handled, that needs to be handled in an addendum well prior to closing. If we're going to do any changes, understand that. If you've already done an addendum that says we're going to prorate taxes at 4% and tax rate comes out at 6%, you'll also have a problem, because if we're prorating taxes at 4% but the tax bill's at 6%, somebody's going to have to make up that difference. So you need to go ahead and proactively deal with that issue as well. So a lot of the issues in taxes that you need to be aware of as the tax bill comes out. If you have any questions, email me at Gary@BlairCato. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.